Kangaroo Jack already sounds like a dumb movie, but believe me when I say it's even worse than your first impression. It centers on Charlie and Lewis, two friends who are roped in the mafia business. They are given the objective of delivering $50,000 to a certain someone called Mr. Smith in Australia. Before you say I'm talking about a mobster film and not a goofy animal comedy for kids, you're only half right. It's both at the same time, despite the freaking advertising saying that's the second option. Charlie and Lewis come across the kangaroo when they accidentally run it over. Assuming it to be dead, they take selfies with the thing wearing Lewis's bright red jacket and sunglasses. The Roo awakens and runs off with the cash, which was in Lewis's jacket, meaning they gotta get it back. I'm not even kidding. That's how this movie goes. When I first came across this movie, I thought it was only going to be a crappy animal film for kids. But it's even worse than that. It ropes in the mafia as well. Oddly enough, the film was going to be an R-rated mafia film called Down and Under, but the first rough cut wasn't working as well as expected, though the one scene with the kangaroo in early test screenings inspired the nightmare fuel that we witnessed when the film was finally released. Obviously, that turned out to be a bad move. I'm going to try to keep two perspectives. One is before obtaining this knowledge about its production, and the other is after obtaining the knowledge. When you first watch this film and you finally come across that kangaroo, which the movie is named after, you'll notice how dated the effects look. It gets even worse when there's a whole scene about Charlie hallucinating this kangaroo rapping. Yeah, it's a thing. This film was on a budget of $60 million. It's a little less than two-thirds the budget of The Two Towers, not to mention released 1 month after, and this is the best they can offer? What's even worse is that they shove in shots of this kangaroo just as a piece of eye candy, and it looks really weird when it's placed in the same environment as real kangaroos. Leave my eyes alone! I don't want to stare at this thing anymore. Enough of that before anyone goes insane. The rest of this review is going to share both perspectives that were mentioned before. Now that I know what this film was going to be, I can safely say that the story is dull, unengaging, predictable. They even felt the need to insert a prologue just to introduce the main characters. Charlie's father died. The mother unknowingly married a crime boss. 20 years later, Charlie and his friend Lewis, who saved his life when they were kids, get themselves stranded in Australia to deliver $50,000. Did you follow any of that? I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't. If this was marketed as a kids' film, why the heck could you not start over and make it seem like a kids' film? The humor is just really bad. Innuendos, fart jokes, dated bits. Did I mention this film was targeted toward kids? Sure, it was originally intended as a mafia film, but if it's not going to work as a mafia film, then don't try to turn it into something family-friendly. The characters are very one-dimensional for the most part. The acting sucks too. The way Lewis was played, it seems to be as though he is an absolute moron, but not in a good way at all. Another crappy move they made with the characters is the relationship between Charlie and this chick Jessie, who is a member of the Outback Wildlife Foundation. Their romance is very poorly played out, especially since when they come across each other in the middle of the desert, he grabs her breasts and gets knocked cold. Then when he wakes up, she's talking to him as if that didn't happen. If I were her, I'd be all like, "Do you have any idea how to treat a woman? You don't just grab hold of her chest just because she looks hot." Not to mention, they share a scene of taking a bath in Todd River, and the romance goes further in the most unrealistic way possible. Is Jessie even paying attention to who is giving her affection, especially when we see how the film ends with them being together? How is anyone okay with this? I can't even begin to describe how bad this film is. It's one of the worst films I've ever seen. Between this and Double Dragon, I think I'd take Double Dragon. I'd have better enjoyment watching Ugly Dolls. The Emoji Movie was more engaging than this. It was a box office hit, but the critical reception left this movie slammed. The acting, the humor, the characters, the story, almost everything about it went downhill. I couldn't believe that something like this was allowed to happen, but what shocks me even more is that this film actually got a sequel. An animated sequel at that! Direct-to-video! Why make garbage out of garbage, man? Can't anyone in Hollywood take a hint? The first film was horrible. We acknowledge that it's horrible, and for good reason. So why torture us some more? They don't care. As long as they robbed us of our cash, that's all that matters. If that's the case, don't watch it, don't bring it up in conversation. Don't even look at the poster. I mean, it's not like you want to watch the movie anyway. Thanks for lying to a bunch of children, Warner Brothers. I thought you had respect in your entertainment.